I'm Jessica Mireles, and today we're going to talk about courtroom players and their discretions, from judges, prosecutors, to the court clerks and bailiffs. Question 1. How do judges use discretion when determining sentences for convicted offenders? So a judge has a pretty diverse role, as they not only work trials, they conduct hearings, they accept guilty pleas, they determine sentencing, or they may be in their chambers simply doing any office work. According to Neubauer and Fradella 2019, they also state that, and I quote, "Judges mainly react to the work of prosecutors and defense attorneys," on page 226. So if we look at judges as reactors, then we can see how discretion comes into play, because they're given scenarios and they're there to make a decision. Judges can look at criminal history, the crime severity, and how it impacted the victims in order to help determine the sentencing. While getting to determine these sentence lengths and sentence types, judges must still follow judicial guidelines for what is fair and balanced. So for example, if a defendant is proven guilty of a crime of theft, and this is the defendant's first offense, then a judge may only sentence community service. However, if a defendant is proven guilty of the crime of theft and has an extensive history of committing this type of crime, then the judge may end up giving a prison sentencing. However, to keep it fair and balanced, if a defendant is found guilty of the crime of theft, a judge wouldn't order the death penalty. Question 2. In what ways do prosecutors exercise discretion when deciding whether to file charges or offer plea bargains? So prosecutors have immense power and can influence outcomes throughout the whole process of a case. And with this power comes with, and I quote Neubauer and Fradella, an almost unlimited amount of discretion, page 173, particularly when deciding whether or not to file charges at all and when offering plea bargains. How prosecutors come to this decision is through the evaluation of evidence gathered by law enforcement, the original arresting officer's report, any potential witnesses, and checking their credibility, and just essentially the overall likelihood that a prosecutor can win a case and secure a conviction. A prosecutor's discretion regarding plea bargains comes with considering the seriousness of the offense, any potential criminal history, and the safety of the public. So, for instance, if someone's being charged and could very well be convicted of first-degree murder, you're not going to offer a plea bargain that, or also, for example, if someone was accused of stealing, but there's no footage or actual witness, then a conviction would probably be unlikely, and therefore a prosecutor could decline to file any charges. However, if this person has a history of arrests and convictions for theft, then a prosecutor might decide differently. Question 3. How do court clerks or bailiffs use discretion in managing courtroom procedures and maintaining order during hearings? So bailiffs and court clerks are other key players in a courtroom. Bailiffs primarily maintain the order of the court, they provide security, and they escort defendants. Court clerks primarily take care of the administrative tasks, such as preparing case files or maintaining records and handling of the evidence for any particular case. Now, these two actors ensure proceedings run smoothly in a courtroom, and how they have discretion is simply in regards to how they go about performing their duties to maintain those proceedings run smoothly. So, for instance, when we've seen it on TV or in real life, perhaps, courtroom spectators or families of a defendant who gets convicted and maybe tough sentencing, and these courtroom spectators speak out of turn or they start, acting out, then the bailiff can choose how they want to handle the situation. Do they give a warning? Do they give 2 warnings? Or do they just decide that they're going to escort them out of the courtroom? They'll go with whichever fits best to avoid any escalation in the courtroom and maintain that order during the hearings. Thank you.